I rolled into a white tablecloth restaurant in a borrowed emerald dress, trying to breathe through the price tags on the menu, telling myself tonight could be normal. A man in a perfect suit stopped at my table, looked from my face to the wheels like he was scanning a barcode, and muttered low and sharp, "You've got to be kidding me." He turned to go, and I started to shrink. Then a steady hand touched the back of my chair, and a calm voice said the 6 words that changed everything. "She's with me, you can leave." My name is Maya Brooks. I'm a graphic designer in Riverton. I got hit by a drunk driver 3 years ago, and I roll, now I cook seated, and I fold laundry with my elbows, and parallel park like a champ. I'm not a tragedy, I'm a person. But that night, my old co-workers Kendra and Tori set me up with a guy named Evan. As a little joke, you know. The kind of people who act like they care when they want a good story. Yeah, that happened. And I would have wheeled out in tears if the stranger hadn't stepped in. He slid into the chair across from me, navy suit that fit like it had a tailor's crush on him, gray at the temples, eyes that actually met mine, and a little girl with pigtails hovering just behind him. "I'm Grant Whitaker, and this is my daughter Lily," he said, gentle but firm. We were over there by the window, I couldn't watch that. And when the server brought a third chair, Lily climbed up and announced with the seriousness only kids have. "That man was mean. Daddy says we help people when someone's being mean. Are you okay?" And I heard my voice again, small, but there I am now. We ate like we were people who didn't have to explain ourselves. Movies, books, the weird almond croissant takeover of the city. He asked about my work and actually listened. He didn't ask about the wheelchair. Didn't hover. Just matched my pace without making it a thing. When the check came, I reached for my card, and he covered it with 2 fingers and said, "This was my invitation. Let me do this one right." Then outside, under the awning, he handed me a card with weight to it. Whitaker Systems, a number, an email. "You deserve a real date if you'll let me try to earn one." The next morning, at exactly 9, my phone rang, like a promise. "Good morning, Maya. It's Grant. If you're free tomorrow, I'd love to take you to the Horizon Museum." I already confirmed accessibility elevators, parking the works, didn't want to be the guy who guesses. I laughed before I even said yes, because being seen, really seen, will do that to you. He picked me up in a rented SUV with a ramp that folded out like a handshake. My usual car doesn't work well for this does. And at the museum we moved together. I stopped at a painting that looked like quiet had learned to breathe. "You see the soul of it," he said. I usually just see pretty, and later he told me. He was a widower. Lily was 7. They were okay and still learning how to be, and I felt something inside me loosen that had been clenched for years. A week later, we picnicked at Willow Park, wide paved paths, tables that actually fit my chair without performing gymnastics. Lily asked if the chair hurt, and I told her no, it's how I move like your legs, mine just roll, she nodded. Like that made perfect sense and started ranking strawberries by personality. You know what I mean? The kind of simple acceptance that feels like medicine. And on a rooftop, a few nights after that, city spread out like a circuit board, he said. "I'm not looking for casual, I have Lily to think about. If we do this, I want it to be real." And I looked at his nervous, steady hands and said, "Then let's be real." Being real also meant picking up when Kendra texted, because she and Tori had seen me in a photo Grant posted from the zoo. "Hey girl, long time introduce us." Sugary voice, fake laugh. I put it on speaker while Grant stirred sauce. "We weren't friends," I said. "Friends don't set people up to be humiliated." They tried to sell it as a joke. Evan was supposed to be nice about it. And there it was, the intention. So I said no to all of it. And when Kendra snapped, "Oh, you think you're too good for us now because you bagged a rich guy?" I told her the truth. I should have told myself years ago. I think I'm finally good enough for myself then. I hung up with shaking hands, and Grant knelt beside the chair and said, "I'm proud of you," and I believed him. There was a gala at the Riverton Grand Chandeliers and tuxes, and the kind of hushed laughter that means money. Grant introduced me as my girlfriend to people whose names sound like buildings. Some faces flickered when they saw the chair, and you can learn everything from that flicker. He gave a speech about children's hospitals and grief, and what love looks like when it survives. Then we danced. And by danced, I mean he spun my chair with such easy joy that other couples joined in because joy is contagious when you stop policing it. Then came a choice I didn't expect: a spinal program in New Harbor mixing surgery with serious therapy, not a miracle. Real doctors don't say that. But cases like mine had gained sensation, standing time, less pain. The cost was laughable. If you're not a billionaire, insurance would have smiled and said no, Grant said. Let me cover it. I want you to have every chance, and independence is a badge. You wear heavy when you've earned it. But the point of love isn't auditioning, so I said, okay, as a team. We moved for 3 months. Lily made friends with a kid whose dad was in chemo. I learned the exact weight of muscle fatigue and the exact value of a therapist who cracks a joke. At the right second, tiny flickers returned in places I thought were gone. The pain that wrapped around my spine like barbed wire loosened, and in week 9, Grant had to fly back for a merger. I told him we'd be fine then. Sabrina walked into the clinic in a cream dress like a press release. I'm an old friend of Grant's, the way she said. Old friend. Sat wrongs, she dropped stories about trips and auctions and being called Aunt Sab. Then the softest cruel line I've ever heard: Grant is very generous. He always takes care of people. Generous lands like a gift until someone clips charity to it and slides it across the table, and suddenly I was seeing myself through a stranger's sneer. He called that night. You sound off, he said. I lied and said I was tired. The next days, I pulled back, declined a fundraiser, told him to go to dinners alone. When he came back, he set down takeout and finally asked, "Did Sabrina come see you?" And when I told him what she'd implied, he went quiet in that way, where quiet is louder than shouting. 3 months ago, you told me your answer would be yes to whatever I asked. I was going to propose at the end of this, no matter the outcome. But I can't build a life with someone who thinks I'm here out of pity, either. You believe me when I say I love you, or you don't. I can't prove it every day, like a math problem. He grabbed a jacket and said he needed air, and right then, Lily padded out, rubbing her eyes, and asked the question that cut through every spiral. Are you going to leave us? And I held her and said, no, not now, not ever. You're my family. And saying it snapped me back into myself. Grant came home an hour later. I started talking before the door closed. I told him I let someone weaponize an old wound that he'd shown me in 100 ways. I wasn't a project, I was a partner. That I chose us. He searched my face like he was looking for a switch. Then he dropped to one knee beside my chair, pulled out a simple ring that fit like it already knew me. Will you marry me, be Lily's mom, be the person I call first for everything? And I laughed and cried and said yes, 1,000 times yes. Back in Riverton, he'd remodeled the first floor. While we were gone, widened doorways, roll-in shower that looked like a spa, not a clinic, a lowered counter so I could chop onions without a circus, a permanent ramp that matched the porch accessibility. Is love. You can touch. We planned a small garden ceremony at a venue that refuses to let the aisle decide who belongs. I wore an ivory dress tailored to look beautiful, seated and steady when I stood. And for our first dance, I stood for 3 minutes, braces and his arm and my whole heart doing their work. Then I sat and we kept moving, because joy doesn't care how you move as long as you keep moving. I wish I could say the credits rolled, but life isn't a movie. A week later, a burner account sent me a video of Kendra and Tori laughing about the gotcha date. Another tag landed under an op-ed Sabrina wrote about PR relationships, and leveraging resilience comments exploded. Some defended me, others said, I jumped the line for treatment. Because my husband is wealthy, that one hit a tender place. Did his money open a door? Absolutely did it. Buy the outcome? No, I still did the work. Still cried in showers. Still rebuilt a life. But fairness isn't simple. Pretending it is doesn't make me honest. I drafted statements and deleted them. Grant asked if I wanted to sue. I said I didn't want our marriage to become a press release. Then Kendra sent a late apology, and I realized I was standing on a cliff where the view is gorgeous and the drop is real. So here's where I leave it with you, because I want the real talk in the comments. Not just the pretty ending when someone uses power or money to open a door. You couldn't open alone. Is that justice, generosity? Or just another kind of unfair? If you were me, would you forgive the people who set you up for humiliation? Or take that video to a lawyer and draw a line so bright it glows? And what would you say to the ones who call a love like mine a PR move? Stay quiet and starve the fire, or speak so the quiet kids in chairs hear. They aren't projects. They're people. Tell me what you think, what you've seen, what you survived. Hit subscribe if this made you feel something. Drop your take below. I'm reading. And tomorrow morning after pancakes, I'll be right back here choosing hope again.